this is an update on where we're at with the generator that I'm rebuilding. I've been working on the shielding for it. I've got the shielding off the motor, and I've already got some clean, but this is the kind of things that I'm running into. There's a lot of moisture got underneath the paint, and it's well, it's as good as maybe, but it's under there. So it's a paint. There's rust under it. It'll never stay there. So I got to get it cleaned up, and I don't have sandblaster, so I'm gonna use what I got. Here's some more. You can just see it. It's just the paint. It's gonna come off, and I've got to clean these parts up too. But because there's, I don't know if you can see that right there's a good example. There's blistering right here, and so if you scratch that, you can see the paint comes right off. Well, I want to make it so that it lasts for a while, and I got to get rid of the rust. So that's what I'm working on there. And then I did take apart the exhaust. I got this cover off so I can get this cleaned up. I'm going to wire brush this and then probably soda blast it. And I do have a crack in this. There is a crack in right there. You can't probably not see it, but there is a crack right there. And I'm going to fix that while I got it apart. That's the shield that goes over top of this so that when the heat, you've got to, don't get the direct heat on your arm. I'll use heat paint on this. And then over here, I've got, this is where the covers came off. This over here, this is the outside of the engine. Carburetor goes here. There's a spark plug that was hard to get to. I'm going to clean all this stuff up here. The governor, it's got to all be cleaned up. I'm going to take the starter off and go through it. I am going to take the generator apart. I'm going to, this aluminum and this steel is part of the generator. But this aluminum I used vinegar and a brush on, and it cleaned up pretty good. So I'm going to try to do the same thing to this and maybe on here too and get that done. But I'm going to check all that stuff out as I put it together. So I'll probably disconnect the engine. I'll mount it back on the stand, and then I'll put this part back on there. Something on there. Now we'll come over here. So here is the battery shield. And you can see the corrosion that's happening here from the battery sits in this tray right here, is bolted up underneath the gas tank. And I probably won't put a battery in there. I'll do something else so I got an idea. But just the corrosion, the moisture sitting in there has done that to it. It's still pretty solid, but I got to clean it up and paint it. And this completed, this is where the gas tank sits on top of this. There's a mat that goes in here. And look at the moisture, what the moisture has done underneath here. I can't get that out of there, otherwise wear it out. So I've cleaned it up and I've painted it. And I've painted the stand. I've taken all that same thing I showed you earlier with paint going. So this has all been cleaned up nice. And it's ready to take the motor. I did replace the tires and the wheels. The ones that were on the rubber was shot and the wheels were bad. And I had these off a cart. So those are there. I painted the handles and cleaned all that up, and it's ready to start taking that parts onto it. Like I said, I'll probably mount the motor on there first, and then I'll attach the generator and everything else back on there. And here's the soda blaster we were talking about. This little canister, so you take this top off and you put baking soda in there for blasting, and it does a fine blasting, so it cleans it. So I'll clean it up, and then I'll hit it with this prior to painting. If I had a sandblaster, sandblasting would work much better, but it's also pretty aggressive. It can actually take a lot of metal away pretty fast. But soda goes in here. You put this back on there. This is the nozzle to spray. I hook an air hose on here, and it's got a pressure gauge over here. And you do it just like sandblasting. You hold it against the surface, go back and forth, and it cleans it. So I'll be using that on those shielding mainly because I don't want to warp them. And then this part is a door bolt that belongs to one of my other sons, and this is snapped off here like that, snapped off. And this is a cast metal or a pot metal, and this is real soft. It doesn't take much to melt it, so I'm going to try brazing it back together. And I think if I get some braze to stick to it, he had JB Weld on it, and it just wouldn't hold. It's just on the surface area there. So I'm going to take it apart, braze it together, and see if that'll work. If not, I'm going to make this part on the mill machine. And then we've had we were in Texas for a while, and there's another video coming out, and it's a 1981 GMC Sierra. They call it square body, and we just did quite a bit of work on it. We worked on the brakes, and we worked on a carburetor and exhaust leak, but the main thing we did is fix the hood they fold in the center, and that's the video we made, and I think that's coming out, what, in October? Sometime in October. That took us away from here for about a week and a half, so that's why I'm back to this project now. And there's other things I work on, like I have said, I work on a lot of stuff. I don't videotape everything because not everything is that interesting, but I've got lots going. I'm trying to get this generator done. I've got another welder that I bought, and I want to be able to plug it in the generator for it to get 220. And let's see, what else have I got going on? I got so much. I got a show coming up I got to get ready for too. We've got to get some engines running. So anyways, if you enjoy what we do, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and keep watching, and I appreciate it. Thank you.